What if the Jesus you know isn't the real Jesus? What if key teachings about consciousness were intentionally removed from the Bible, fundamentally altering his message? Is your understanding of Jesus incomplete, preventing you from unlocking your full potential and connecting with the divine within? This incomplete knowledge has kept you from a deeper truth about yourself and your relationship with all that is. For centuries, whispers of lost or hidden teachings have hinted at alternative perspectives on Jesus, suggesting his message was far more profound than traditional interpretations allow. Texts like the Gnostic Gospels, discovered hidden in the sands of Egypt, offer glimpses of a Jesus whose teachings resonate with Eastern mysticism and Hermeticism, echoing concepts like Atman and Nirvana. But what if the traditional interpretation of Jesus was meticulously shaped by political and social forces, obscuring or suppressing certain aspects of his teachings that threatened the established order? What if Jesus was primarily a teacher of consciousness, offering profound insights into the nature of reality, not just a religious figure bound by dogma? The problem is, most people are unaware of these lost teachings and their immense implications for personal transformation. Traditional religion often focuses on dogma, external authority, and adherence to rigid doctrines, neglecting the immense power of inner awareness and direct experience. This lack of awareness keeps you trapped in limiting beliefs, preventing you from realizing your full potential, creating a world where systems benefit from keeping you in the dark. But here's the thing. By understanding the lost teachings of Jesus, you can unlock your own divine consciousness and create a more fulfilling reality, free from the constraints of outdated beliefs and external control. In this video, we will explore the lost teachings of Jesus about consciousness and their profound relevance to your life, and incorporate modern-day physics. We'll examine the nature of God as an inner presence, the illusion of separation, and the interconnectedness of all things, and the incredible power of belief and intention to manifest your desired outcomes. By the end of this video, you will have a new understanding of Jesus and practical techniques for self-transformation, empowering you to reclaim your divine birthright. So, let's dive into the hidden truths that were intentionally obscured and begin to uncover the real message of Jesus. What if the God you've been taught to worship your entire life isn't out there at all? What if the divine presence you've been seeking in churches, temples, and mosques has been residing within you all along? Does this fundamentally change everything? If God is within, how does this transform our understanding of prayer, worship, and religious institutions? And what does it mean for your own personal power and spiritual autonomy? The implications of this hidden truth are staggering. This idea of an inner God isn't new. In fact, it echoes throughout various spiritual traditions across the globe. Consider the concept of Atman in Hinduism, where the individual self is believed to be one with Brahman, the universal self, or the Buddha in Buddhism that suggests everyone has inherent enlightenment within them. These traditions, like some of the lost teachings of Jesus, suggest that the divine isn't a separate entity but an intrinsic part of our being. Now, think about this in the context of Jesus' teachings. The kingdom of God is within you, Luke 17:21. I and the Father are one, John 10:30. These aren't just nice-sounding platitudes. They are powerful statements about the nature of reality and your inherent divinity. But here's the thing, many mainstream interpretations of these passages often miss the point, focusing instead on external rituals, intermediaries, and adhering to dogma. But what if these ancient texts are not meant to be taken literally? What if they point to a more profound truth about consciousness and the potential for direct experience of the divine? Some scholars and theologians do interpret these passages as evidence of Jesus' focus on inner consciousness. Thinkers like Marcus Borg and John Dominic Crossan, for example, have argued that Jesus' message was less about establishing a new religion and more about radical personal and social transformation rooted in a direct relationship with the divine. Of course, there are counter-arguments. Some argue that these interpretations are simply attempts to fit Jesus into a New Age worldview, distorting his original message. Some say that, historically, there is not enough evidence to support the idea that he was a teacher of consciousness. What is often missed is that this knowledge has been suppressed. But here's what most people miss. The shocking truth is that the canonization of the Bible was influenced by political and social agendas, potentially obscuring or omitting teachings that challenged the established power structures. What if the emphasis on an external God was a way to control the masses, while the true message of inner divinity was reserved for initiates? So how does understanding God as an inner presence transform your life? It starts with shifting your focus from external seeking to internal exploration. Instead of relying on external authorities or rituals, you begin to cultivate self-awareness and connect with your own inner divinity. This can be achieved through various practices, such as mindfulness meditation, where you observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, creating space for inner peace and clarity. Another practice is contemplative prayer, where you focus on your breath or a mantra, quieting the mind and opening yourself to divine guidance. Journaling can also be a powerful tool for exploring your inner landscape and uncovering hidden beliefs and patterns. Think about it. When you realize that God is within you, you understand that you are not separate from the divine source of all creation. This realization empowers you to take responsibility for your life, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, and to create positive change in the world around you. Now, you might be wondering, if God is within me, does that mean I'm God? That's a valid question, and it gets to the heart of the matter. The idea isn't that you are the only God, but that you are a part of the divine whole, a unique expression of the universal consciousness. It's like a drop of water in the ocean. It's not the entire ocean, but it shares the same essence. This is where these applications relate to modern concepts of self-help and positive psychology, the understanding that your thoughts shape your reality. Visualizing your best self aligns the conscious and subconscious minds to move in that direction. This inner connection empowers you to take responsibility for your life and create positive change, relating to these concepts of self-help and positive psychology. But that's just the beginning. Recognizing God as an inner presence shifts your focus from external authority to internal experience, which leads to an even deeper realization that we are all interconnected, challenging the illusion of separation. This is where it gets really interesting. Understanding this interconnectedness unlocks even greater potential for self-transformation and compassion. If we are all one, how does this change the way we treat ourselves, others, and the world around us? What if the sense of being a separate, isolated individual is a grand illusion, a trick of the mind that obscures a deeper truth about the nature of reality? What if this feeling of menace, this solid wall between yourself and everything else, is not as solid as it seems? If separation is an illusion, how does this fundamentally change your understanding of yourself, your relationships, and the very fabric of the world you inhabit? It implies a hidden truth, a profound unity that binds all things together in an intricate web of interdependence. To truly grasp this illusion of separation, we need to look beyond the everyday perception of distinct objects and individuals. Consider the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. In the quantum realm, two particles can become linked in such a way that they share the same fate, no matter how far apart they are. If you measure the properties of one particle, you instantly know the properties of the other, even if they are light years away. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, but it demonstrates a fundamental interconnectedness that transcends space and time. Now, consider this in the context of Jesus' teachings. Love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:39. Is this simply a nice moral guideline or a profound statement about our shared existence? Think about it. What if your neighbor's suffering is, in a very real sense, your own suffering? This concept of interconnectedness also finds resonance in Eastern spiritual traditions. The Buddhist concept of emptiness, or shunyata, doesn't mean that nothing exists, but rather that everything is devoid of inherent existence, arising only in relation to other things. Dependent origination, or pratityasamutpada, further emphasizes this interconnectedness, stating that all phenomena are mutually dependent and arise together. The key is to understand that nothing exists in isolation. Now, how does this align with Jesus' teachings? Perhaps the seemingly simple commandment to love your neighbor points towards the same underlying truth that we are all part of one vast, interconnected whole. This understanding transcends mere altruism. It becomes a recognition of our own true nature. The truth is that by harming another, you are ultimately harming yourself. Understanding this interconnectedness has profound implications for how we live our lives. If we truly grasp that we are all part of one another, it becomes impossible to ignore the suffering of others or the destruction of the environment. So how can you apply this understanding in your daily life? Start by cultivating empathy. Practice loving-kindness meditation, extending feelings of warmth, compassion, and loving-kindness towards yourself, your loved ones, your neighbors, and even your enemies. Engage in acts of service, volunteering your time and energy to help those in need. Consciously choose compassion over judgment, recognizing the shared humanity in everyone you encounter. Imagine a world where every action is guided by this awareness of interconnectedness. Recognizing our interconnectedness can also lead to more sustainable and ethical choices. Supporting social justice initiatives, advocating for peace, and promoting environmental stewardship are all natural expressions of this understanding. But here's the thing, some might object that acknowledging interconnectedness glosses over the very real suffering and injustice in the world. They might say that focusing on unity is a way to avoid confronting difficult realities. The key is to recognize that acknowledging interconnectedness doesn't negate the reality of suffering, but it provides a framework for understanding its root causes and working towards its alleviation. Recognizing our shared humanity compels us to act with greater responsibility and compassion, but that's just the beginning. Recognizing the illusion of separation reveals our inherent unity and shared responsibility, and this understanding leads to a deeper appreciation of the power of our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions in shaping reality. What most people miss, however, is the startling link to the observer effect in quantum physics. The observer effect suggests that the very act of observing a quantum system changes its behavior. Is it possible that our consciousness plays a similar role in shaping the macroscopic world around us? This understanding unlocks even greater potential for conscious creation and self-transformation. If we are all interconnected and our beliefs shape reality, what kind of world can we create together? Section 1. The architect of reality belief as blueprint. Imagine a world where your thoughts are not just fleeting mental events, but the very building blocks of your reality. What if the faith you've been taught to passively accept is, in fact, a potent force you can consciously wield to shape your life? The truth that has been hidden from you is that belief is not about blind acceptance, but active creation. Are you consciously choosing your beliefs, like an architect selecting blueprints, or are they being unconsciously imposed upon you, constructing a reality you never truly intended? The power to shape your world lies dormant within you, waiting to be awakened through the conscious choice of belief. Section 2. Faith can move mountains. Scriptural evidence and modern parallels. Jesus said, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move." Matthew 17:20. But what if this isn't a literal promise of physical translocation, but a metaphor for the immense power of focused intention to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles? To understand this, we must consider the remarkable parallels between Jesus' teachings, the law of attraction, and even the scientifically validated placebo effect. Think about it. Jesus' healing miracles might not have been supernatural interventions, but demonstrations of the body's innate ability to heal itself when empowered by unwavering belief. Countless research studies have shown that a patient's belief in a treatment, even a sugar pill, can trigger real physiological changes, reducing pain, improving immune function, and even shrinking tumors. The law of attraction, a principle echoed in various spiritual traditions, suggests that like attracts like that, our thoughts and emotions create a vibrational frequency that draws corresponding experiences into our lives. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:24. Jesus' teachings on asking, believing, and receiving align perfectly with this principle. But what about the skeptics? What about those who dismiss these ideas as New Age fluff, or those who cling to a rigid, literal interpretation of Scripture? How can we reconcile these seemingly disparate perspectives? The key is to understand that belief is not just about wishful thinking. It's about aligning your entire being, your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desired outcome. Section 3. Conscious Creation, Practical Tools for Shaping Reality. So, how can you consciously harness this power of belief and intention to create positive change in your life? The first step is to become aware of your existing beliefs. What do you believe about yourself, about your abilities, about the world around you? Are these beliefs empowering or limiting? Once you've identified your limiting beliefs, you can begin to reprogram your subconscious mind with positive affirmations. For example, if you struggle with feelings of unworthiness, you might create an affirmation like, "I am worthy of love, abundance, and success." Repeat this affirmation throughout the day, especially in moments of doubt or negativity. Another powerful tool is visualization. Find a quiet space where you can relax and close your eyes. Vividly imagine your desired reality, engaging all your senses. See yourself achieving your goals, feeling happy, healthy, and fulfilled. Imagine yourself already living the life you desire. What does it look like? How does it feel? Who are you with? The more vividly you can imagine it, the more powerfully you will attract it into your reality. Now, it's crucial to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desired outcomes. If you want to attract wealth, you can't just think positive thoughts. You also need to take practical steps to manage your finances wisely and pursue opportunities for growth. If you desire better relationships, you need to cultivate qualities like compassion, empathy, and effective communication. Here's where it gets interesting. Countering negative self-talk is vital. When those limiting beliefs creep in, challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is there any evidence to support this belief? Replace negative thoughts with positive, empowering ones. What if you encounter setbacks and doubt? Remember that setbacks are a natural part of the process. Don't let them discourage you. Use them as opportunities to learn and grow. Surround yourself with supportive people who believe in you and your vision. But here's the thing, avoid the trap of magical thinking. Positive thinking is powerful, but it's not a substitute for taking practical action. You can't just sit around and wait for your dreams to manifest. You need to actively work towards them. Section 4. Clearing the path, forgiveness, and the next level of consciousness. Consciously chosen beliefs and focused intentions are indeed potent tools for shaping reality. But what most people miss is a crucial element that unlocks even greater potential for self-transformation and conscious creation: forgiveness. Forgiveness is essential for clearing emotional baggage and raising one's vibrational frequency, making it easier to manifest desired outcomes. What if holding on to resentment and anger is like carrying a heavy weight that slows you down and blocks your path? Understanding the power of forgiveness unlocks even greater potential for self-transformation and conscious creation. If belief shapes reality and forgiveness frees us from the past, what limiting beliefs are you holding on to, and who do you need to forgive to create the life you truly desire? Section 1. The unexpected key: forgiveness beyond morality. Forgiveness. Is it merely a virtue preached from pulpits, a moral obligation to absolve those who have wronged you? What if forgiveness, instead, is an unexpected key, a potent tool for unlocking higher states of consciousness, something far beyond a simple act of moral superiority. Perhaps what has been missed is that forgiveness is less about pardoning others for their trespasses and more about liberating yourself from the invisible, yet intensely binding, chains of resentment. The truth that has been obscured is that clinging to anger and resentment doesn't punish the other person. It creates energetic blockages within you, limiting your awareness and hindering your spiritual evolution. Section 2. They know not what they do. Deeper meaning and energetic release. Jesus implored, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." But what if this isn't a plea for divine leniency towards wrongdoers, but a profound acknowledgement of their limited awareness, an understanding that their actions stem from a place of unconsciousness rather than malicious intent? When viewed through this lens, they know not what they do isn't a justification of harmful actions, but an invitation to cultivate compassion, recognizing that those who inflict pain are often trapped in their own cycles of suffering. This understanding, however, extends beyond others and requires facing yourself. Think about shadow work, a concept popularized by Carl Jung. In shadow work, you acknowledge and integrate repressed aspects of your own psyche, the parts of yourself you've disowned or judged as unacceptable. Isn't unforgiveness often rooted in our inability to accept these darker aspects within ourselves? Holding on to resentment, whether directed at others or ourselves, creates energetic cords that bind us to past traumas, limiting our potential and dimming our light. These cords act like energetic vampires, constantly draining our life force and perpetuating cycles of pain and suffering. Consider energy healing modalities like Reiki or emotional freedom techniques, EFT. These practices emphasize the importance of releasing emotional blockages to restore the flow of energy throughout the body and mind. Unresolved anger, resentment, and bitterness act like dams, constricting the flow of vital energy and creating imbalances that manifest as physical, emotional, and spiritual ailments. So how do we begin to dismantle these dams and free ourselves from the grip of unforgiveness? Section 3. Releasing the grip, practical forgiveness, techniques. The key to actively using forgiveness to clear emotional blockages and raise your vibration lies in practical application. One powerful technique is the Ho'oponopono prayer, an ancient Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. This prayer consists of 4 simple phrases: "I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you." Each phrase carries a specific intention. "I'm sorry" acknowledges your responsibility for the shared reality, recognizing that everything is interconnected. "Please forgive me" asks for forgiveness from yourself, from others, and from the divine. "I love you" expresses love and gratitude, transmuting negative energy into positive energy. "Thank you" acknowledges the healing process and expresses faith in the universe. Imagine yourself directing these phrases towards a person or situation you're struggling to forgive. Feel the emotions that arise without judgment, allowing them to surface and dissipate. Another powerful technique is writing a letter of forgiveness without the intention of sending it. In this letter, express all your emotions, your anger, your pain, your sadness without holding back. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and honest. Then, shift your focus to understanding the other person's perspective. Try to see the situation through their eyes, acknowledging their limitations and motivations. Finally, write a statement of forgiveness, releasing them from your judgment and freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Forgiveness isn't about condoning harmful behavior. It's about releasing the energetic cords that bind you to the past and reclaiming your power in the present moment. Remember, forgiveness is a process, not a one-time event. It's okay to feel anger and grief before forgiving. These emotions are a natural part of the healing journey. As you release these negative emotions, you create space for positive change, aligning yourself with the law of attraction. By vibrating at a higher frequency of love, compassion, and forgiveness, you attract more positive experiences into your life. Section 4. Transcending the ego resurrection and the path forward. Forgiveness, therefore, is not just a lofty ideal, but a pragmatic tool for clearing emotional baggage, raising your vibration, and creating space for positive change. This process of releasing the old self, of shedding the layers of resentment and bitterness, prepares us for a deeper understanding of resurrection. But what if resurrection is not a literal, physical event, but a metaphor for transcending ego consciousness, shedding the limitations of the small self, and awakening to our true, divine nature? By truly understanding forgiveness and belief, and applying these teachings to our lives, we can then come to a deeper, more profound understanding of resurrection. This understanding unlocks our full potential for spiritual growth and self-mastery, and it's something that has been whispered about and hidden throughout the ages, as many religious institutions do not want you to grasp its significance. If forgiveness clears the path and belief shapes reality, what potential awaits us on the other side of letting go, on the other side of the death of the ego, and the opening of a new and wondrous spiritual existence? So, as we bring together these rediscovered truths, these glimpses of Jesus' teachings on consciousness that have been obscured for centuries, a profound shift in perspective begins to emerge. What if the familiar stories held even deeper, transformative meanings than we ever imagined? In summary, we've explored the concept of God not as an external, judgmental figure, but as an inner presence, a boundless field of consciousness residing within each and every one of us. This understanding immediately transfers the power dynamic, shifting the responsibility for our lives and experiences squarely onto our own shoulders. We've also uncovered the illusion of separation, recognizing that the interconnectedness of all things is not just a philosophical idea, but a fundamental truth with profound implications for how we treat ourselves, each other, and the planet. When we truly grasp that loving your neighbor as yourself is not just a nice sentiment, but a reflection of our shared essence, compassion and ethical behavior become not just moral obligations, but natural expressions of our being. We examined the immense potential of belief and intention in shaping our reality, understanding that our thoughts and emotions are not passive reflections of the world, but active forces that co-create it, much like the observer effect in quantum physics. And we've seen that forgiveness, far from being a mere act of absolution, is a potent tool for releasing energetic blockages, freeing ourselves from the chains of resentment and opening ourselves to manifest a more harmonious and fulfilling existence. All these concepts fundamentally challenge and transform traditional, often dogmatic, interpretations of Jesus' life, purpose, and teachings. Instead of viewing him as a miracle worker or a savior figure who dictates from on high, we begin to see him as a master teacher of consciousness, offering practical tools for self-transformation and reality creation. But where does this leave us? This rediscovery connects directly to the universal human quest for meaning, purpose, and self-discovery that spans cultures and epochs. Throughout history, people have sought answers to fundamental questions about existence, consciousness, and the nature of reality. These rediscovered teachings offer a fresh perspective, aligning with the broader movement of consciousness exploration and personal transformation that is happening globally. Imagine the potential societal impact if more people embraced these principles of inner divinity, interconnectedness, conscious creation, and forgiveness. Would systems of control and manipulation simply collapse if everyone knew how to tap into their inherent creative power to manifest health, wealth, and happiness from within? These concepts are not unique to Christianity, but echo the perennial wisdom found across various spiritual traditions, from Buddhism to Hinduism to Hermeticism, suggesting a universal truth underlying different expressions. Consider the implications for our current social structures if everyone took full responsibility for their consciousness, their actions, and their creations. Integrating these concepts may indeed challenge deeply held beliefs and require significant inner work, and that is understandable. Reassure yourself that even small steps toward understanding and applying these principles can create profound positive change in your life. Remind yourself of your inherent power to transform your reality, to consciously create a more fulfilling and meaningful life, a life aligned with your soul's deepest desires. Spiritual awakening is a journey, not a destination. There will be twists and turns, moments of doubt and moments of clarity. Know that every individual's path is unique and valid. The key is to approach this journey with self-compassion and patience, allowing yourself to learn, grow, and evolve at your own pace. Treat every perceived failure or setback as an opportunity for growth, remembering that the journey itself is the destination. What possibilities open up for individual and collective transformation if these lost teachings were widely understood and applied? What kind of world could we create if we all recognized the divine spark within ourselves and each other? I encourage you to continue exploring these concepts through meditation, contemplation, and further research, delving into the Gnostic Gospels, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and other esoteric texts that offer deeper insights into the nature of consciousness and reality creation. Explore other spiritual traditions and esoteric teachings to deepen your understanding of consciousness and reality creation. Imagine a future where humanity lives in greater harmony, compassion, and conscious awareness. A future where we co-create a world that reflects our highest aspirations. What role would forgiveness play in conflict resolution on a global scale? What innovative solutions might arise if we all tapped into our inherent creative potential? Remember the growing scientific validation of these principles through fields like quantum physics and neuroscience. The observer effect, quantum entanglement, and other mind-bending discoveries are providing empirical evidence for the interconnectedness of all things and the power of consciousness to shape reality. I encourage you to consciously apply these principles in your daily lives, focusing on areas where you feel stuck, disempowered, or limited. Start small, experimenting with positive affirmations, visualization techniques, and acts of kindness and compassion. Observe the effects of these practices on your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. As you become more proficient at consciously shaping your inner world, you'll begin to notice corresponding changes in your outer world. I invite you to subscribe to the channel for more content on consciousness, spirituality, and self-transformation. In upcoming videos, we'll delve deeper into specific techniques for manifesting your desired reality, exploring advanced meditation practices, energy healing modalities, and the practical applications of quantum physics in everyday life. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section, fostering a sense of community and shared exploration. How might these teachings transform your relationships? Take some time to deeply reflect on how you can release resentment and cultivate compassion within your closest bonds, creating a ripple effect of positive change that extends outward into the world. Remember, the power to shape reality lies within each individual. You are the conscious creator of your reality. Step into your power and create the life you truly desire. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery. It has been a pleasure to share these insights with you. Until next time, be well and create consciously.